$2 billion Powerball ticket sold in Los Angeles County. Trump to make big announcement on November 15th. China deflation fears rise as demand weakens. Nvidia offers new advanced chip for China. Switzerland is paying poorer nations to cut emissions. Cameroonian President Biya marks 40 years in power. Transgender Thai Tycoon buys Miss Universe Pageant. Honda targets people who don't want to drive.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Wednesday, November 9th, and here are your top stories. The identity of the winner or winners is not yet known, but the California lottery said it had made its first billionaire. Lottery officials in California said Tuesday that the $2 billion winning ticket was sold in Los Angeles County. The California lottery said the only winning Powerball ticket was sold at Joe's Service Center in Altadena, a gas station just north of Pasadena. Powerball officials announced the winning numbers on Tuesday morning as 10, 33, 41, 47, and 56, with 10 as the Powerball.
It's Powerball. Greetings, America. I'm Michelle Lyles.
Powerball said one ticket in Florida won $2 million by matching all 5 white balls and the power play option. Players can buy a $2 Powerball ticket in 45 states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. The 5 states that do not participate are Alabama, Alaska, Hawaii, Nevada, and Utah. The first thing winners should do is seek advice from a lawyer, a financial advisor, and an accountant. And winners should research the professionals they turn to for help, check the status of their licenses, and get references.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump, who has never accepted the truth of his 2020 loss, told a cheering crowd in Ohio on the eve of the midterm election not to detract from tomorrow's very important, even critical election. I'm going to be making a very big announcement on Tuesday, November 15th, at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. He ratcheted up hints that he would be entering the fray during the 2024 presidential election. The brief mention at the tail end of a typical dark, rambling speech came as the election Republicans are well placed to win.
But not to detract from tomorrow's very important, even critical.
The media said that even if Republicans win only the House of Representatives, it would interfere with Biden's legislative agenda for the last 2 years of his first term and potentially lead to a weakening of U.S. support for Ukraine's resistance against Russia. Despite facing criminal probes over taking top-secret documents from the White House and trying to overturn the 2020 election, Trump is now using the midterms to cement his status as the de facto Republican leader and presumptive presidential nominee.
Bloomberg reported that China is facing increasing deflationary pressure as COVID outbreaks and controls cut demand. Subsequently, falling prices of some commodities put pressure on companies to lower prices. According to the medium estimates in a Bloomberg survey of economists ahead of data due Wednesday, China's producer price index likely fell into deflation in October for the first time in nearly 2 years. The index is expected to have dropped by 1.6% from a year earlier.
The media said that even though policymakers have rolled out measures to boost demand for a range of goods, from electric cars to houses, the data suggests China's domestic demand has weakened further due to movement restrictions to control COVID outbreaks, falling export demand, and decreasing home construction. The return of deflation will further hurt corporate profits, although cheaper Chinese exports may be welcomed by shoppers and central bankers in other countries who are facing faster inflationary pressures.
U.S. chipmaker Nvidia confirmed on Monday that the company is offering a new advanced chip in China that meets recent export control rules aimed at keeping cutting-edge technology out of China's hands. The chip, called the A800, represents the first reported effort by a U.S. semiconductor company to create advanced processors for China that follows new U.S. trade rules. Nvidia said the Nvidia A800 GPU, which went into production in Q3, is another alternative product to the Nvidia A100 GPU for customers in China.
Nvidia said that the 8800 meets the U.S. government's clear test for reduced export control and cannot be programmed to exceed it. Reuters reported at least 2 Chinese websites of major server makers offer the 8800 chip in their products. A comparison of the chip capabilities with the 8100 shows that the chip-to-chip data transfer rate is 400 gigabytes per second on the new chip, down from 600 gigabytes per second on the 8100. The new rules restrict rates of 600 gigabytes per second and up.
Struck 它是 strike 这动词的过去式 strike a deal 就是
学习享受一个人的美好时光 FUNDAY 英语
Switzerland, one of the world's richest nations, promised to cut its greenhouse gas emission in half by 2030. But the Swiss don't intend to reduce emission by that much within their own borders. Instead, the European country is dipping into its sizable coffers to pay poorer nations like Ghana or Dominica to reduce emissions there and give Switzerland credit for it. But the agreement raises concerns that other countries will follow suit, delaying more difficult cuts of greenhouse gas emissions in wealthier nations.
The New York Times said, for instance, Switzerland is paying to install efficient lighting and cleaner stoves in up to 5 million households in Ghana. These installations would help households move away from burning wood for cooking and reining greenhouse gas emissions. Then Switzerland, not Ghana, will get to count those emissions reductions as progress toward its climate goals. Switzerland said these sorts of arrangements could bring on additional climate action while benefiting the host countries.
Cameroonian President Biya marked 40 years in power last Sunday, but stayed out of spotlight as questions swirled about the 89-year-old. On Sunday, Biya supporter Paul Mbassa said, "Since our father took power, we live in peace. He protects us well. May God keep him." Thousands of his supporters gathered in the capital, Yaoundé, to celebrate the anniversary, but they were only giant portraits of the absent president. Biya has not appeared in public since French President Emmanuel Macron visited in July.
Biya is Africa's second longest-serving leader. The president of Equatorial Guinea has been in power since 1979. Biya was Cameroon's prime minister and became president in 1982 after his predecessor, Cameroon's first president, following its independence from France. Biya has faced challenges in recent years that range from a secessionist movement in Cameroon's English-speaking provinces to the threat in the north posed by Islamic extremists aligned with the Nigeria-based Boko Haram group.
A businesswoman in Thailand, Eni Chakrapong Chakajutapti, the CEO of the Thailand-based media company JKN Global Group, who is also a transgender rights activist, has bought the company that runs the Miss Universe beauty pageant for $20 million. She's a reality TV star in her home country, where she has appeared on local versions of Project Runway and Shark Tank. She also helped establish Life Inspired for Transsexual Foundation, a nonprofit transgender rights group.
The Miss Universe pageant, which started in 1952, broadcast in 165 countries. The pageant featured its first transgender contestant in 2018, when Miss Spain Angela Ponce competed for the crown. Miss Jakarta Tatip is the first woman to own the global beauty pageant in its 71-year history. Miss Universe organization, which was co-owned by the former U.S. President Donald Trump between 1996 to 2015, will continue to be led by its current CEO, Amy Emmerich, and President Paula Sugard.
Japan's Honda Motor said it's considering a range of self-driving electric vehicles targeted at groups including elderly people who no longer drive but still want to get around, and the younger Gen Z crowds who aren't interested in owning or driving traditional cars. Honda said it expects growing demands for such casual vehicles, which is called micromobility devices, as taxi and home delivery services struggle with staff shortages and as more elderly people seek to remain socially active.
After Honda has launched a range of concept cars, including the rectangular vehicle for 4 and a 2-seater mini car to test the idea, the company unveiled Honda CI micro-mobility machines on November 2nd and plans to make the technology available for general use in 2030. At first glance, you might think you're looking at a photo booth on wheels or a golf cart, but this is the kind of machine Honda is hoping will snag the company a brand new automotive audience, people who don't want to drive.
FUNDAY News will help sharpen your English skills while keeping you informed on current international events. Tune into our other FUNDAY programs to learn more about the world's most important topics in English. Click the link below now to join FUNDAY for free. I'm Wade Lee, your host, and I'll see you next time.